Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tim. This is Vehicle Evolution, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button now because there's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be doing in the coming months to this car. Today we're going to be looking at installing an O2 housing on the 2014 Genesis Coupe. Huge shout out to CNT Racing for sending me this housing. Look at that. So before we get started, let's talk about what this is. The purpose of the O2 housing is to delete the primary catalytic converter between the engine and the downpipe from the exhaust. So to understand what this does, let's look at what a catalytic converter does. Its primary function in the exhaust system is to reduce harmful emissions. And it does that by filtering them out. So what this is doing is it's taking that filtration system out of the whole sequence and giving on this car a full turbo back exhaust system. There will be no catalytic converters on this car. It's simply going to house the first and secondary O2 sensors and give you a direct flow right from the exhaust manifold throughout the exhaust. This car currently has a CNT V3 catback exhaust on it, and it's an awesome exhaust. Couldn't be happier with it. So we're going to install this and see what the performance gains are from it. From what I've seen, what I've read, typically an O2 housing will increase your horsepower by 20 to 25 horsepower. But we'll see. It also should increase the sound because we're not having that filtration going through the catalytic converter. So let's get started on this installation. Should be pretty simple. So one of the downsides to the new lowering springs going in is I can't just put this thing up on ramps. So we have to figure this out first. So right here behind this heat shield is the catalytic converter. This is our first O2 sensor. So I'm going to have to remove the heat shield. Then we'll unbolt the catalytic converter from the exhaust manifold, and then we'll have to unbolt it from the downpipe. Something that's very important with this installation is to make sure you keep track of which sensor is going where. You don't want to put your first sensor into the hole for the secondary sensor. There's a reason why this one is hooked up first. Okay, that's the first O2 sensor. Wipe that off a little bit before we reinstall it, and then we can remove the heat shield. Here's our catalytic converter here, right here. It goes all the way down there. Down there is our second O2 housing and the downpipe right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually disconnect the downpipe first. That way the whole thing's not hanging with the downpipe, and then I'll disconnect it from the engine. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to work with that way. Okay, so removing the downpipe is pretty easy. That bolt and that bolt, and it'll pop right off. Alright, so you'll notice that I removed my air intake, and that is because back here, under here, all the way back there, is a bolt that is a pain in the ass to get to. So hopefully this will give me access and I'll be able to break it loose. And it doesn't help that it's rusty as hell under there too. Alright, so I finally got all the bolts off, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's difficult to get to some of these, especially that one that's underneath of there. There's also two bolts down at the bottom that hold it to the bottom of the engine. They're also a little on the difficult side to get to, but not impossible. So everything's loose now. We should be able to just kind of pop it off. All right, so there's the stock catalytic converter next to the new O2 housing. This, gotta say, was a bit of a pain in the ass to take out. I ended up removing my downpipe because of these bolts. I wasn't able to drop it down with the pressure of the downpipe on it, so I pulled the downpipe out, took this out. This should go in a lot easier. I'm actually going to hook this up to the downpipe first because, as you can see here, these are studded bolts, and here I need to be able to use a bolt and a nut. It's going to be easier to put in connected outside of it than it is underneath of the car. So that's the plan. I've got penetrating oil on this to try to pull that off. That's proving to be a little difficult, but once I get that off, I'll attach the sensors to this and we should be good to go. Okay, so there's the new O2 housing. Secondary sensors installed, and we're attached to the downpipe. So we're just going to kind of snake it up into the cavity there and attach it to the exhaust manifold, and we should be in good shape. Like I said, this should go a lot quicker than taking the old one out. Something very important to take note of is the thickness of your stock catalytic converter. This base is thicker than what the CNT O2 housing is. So, to keep from busting your bolts, put some spacer washers in and you'll be in good shape. Otherwise, you're going to wrench your bolts down so hard you may break. Okay, so now it's in. Now I got to do is hook up the O2 sensors, put the number one there, bring the wire up from the secondary up to here, put all my heat shields back on, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, this is done. Okay, so everything's back in. Sensors are all hooked up. And get this thing off the ramps and see what it sounds like. So one thing I've noticed right away is I don't have a check engine light. I need washer fluid, but I don't have a check engine light. We're going to take it for a drive, see what the power increase might be, see if it feels like it might be noticeable. I'm not so sure that it will be, but let's give it a try, and we'll see if after it warms up a bit, if we actually do get a check engine light. So let's get it out on the road. So far, I wouldn't say that I necessarily feel power. I haven't accelerated that quickly yet, but the engine feels smoother. It's hard to explain. Maybe it's because the air exiting, it's not as restrictive, but it just has, I don't know, the engine sound has a smoother sound to it. Try and get it out on a road here where I can just open up. Problem is, it's rush hour in Annapolis, and well, shit. People really aren't in a hurry to get anywhere today. Moving slow in the fast lane. Okay, so here we are. We're gonna make a U-turn. Let's see what this does. What I've read and what I've heard online is, 20 to 25 horsepower more, but yeah, you can definitely feel a little bit of a power gain there, which is pretty cool. It's very sustained power, very smooth power. That's probably the coolest thing for it, is it doesn't feel like rough power, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I like it. So I've easily been out driving for about 20-25 minutes now, and I still don't have a check engine light, so that's good. Thumbs up for that one. So that's the install of the CNT O2 housing on the Genesis Coupe. Let me know what you think in the comments below of what I've described so far about it. Overall, I think it's a good upgrade to the car. It seems to add performance, definitely adds a little bit more of a smoother acceleration and steady power. So certainly from a performance aspect, it's a great upgrade. Now, from an installation standpoint, and it's no fault of CNT, it's difficult to do. The original catalytic converter is honestly a pain in the neck to take out, but it's not impossible. If you have any kind of mechanical ability, you'll be able to do it, no problem. So if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and smash that notification bell so you get notifications whenever I upload a new video. There's going to be some cool stuff coming down the line, so make sure you subscribe. But that's all from me for now, guys. Until next time.